General Hospital spoilers tease that Rick cannot accept his fate as he witnesses Lucky Spencer's return, which stirs new emotions in Elizabeth. Rick's initial quiet resignation gradually fades, replaced by a subtle but undeniable determination. Seeing Lucky reconnect with Liz has triggered something inside Rick. He has never been the type to sit back and let someone else take what was once his. Although Elizabeth has made it clear that there is no future between them, Rick finds it increasingly difficult to let go. In his mind, Lucky's return threatens to break down all the boundaries Elizabeth has tried to build between herself and the past. Rick begins to insert himself into conversations, offering small gestures of support when Liz least expects them, as if to remind her of the bond they once shared. Even though Elizabeth clearly wants to move forward, Rick still feels that there's a chance. Perhaps he can win her back by proving that he has changed. But his efforts may not entirely be about redemption. Rather, it's his refusal to let Lucky reclaim what Rick still sees as his own. As Lucky and Elizabeth's interactions grow closer, Rick's interference becomes bolder. Whether through offers of help or uninvited conversations, he's unwilling to fade into the background. For Rick, losing to Lucky is not an option, and the situation has never felt more tense. Rick has uncovered a dark secret about Lucky, an obsession he can't shake off after months of being kidnapped and brutally tortured. Lucky has tried to hide this fear and trauma, but Rick, with his keen eye, realizes this is the weakness he can exploit. This opens up a dark plan in Rick's mind, and he begins executing it step by step, launching a sophisticated and dangerous attack aimed directly at Lucky. While Lucky still struggles with nightmares and the horrific memories of his abduction, Rick silently begins his strategy. Not through physical violence, but with subtle psychological manipulation, Rick uses vague hints and situations to push Lucky into a state of anxiety and confusion. He does everything he can to make Lucky feel like he can never escape his painful past. Day by day, Rick gradually lures Lucky into his mental trap. He recalls small details about the kidnapping, reviving the memories Lucky has tried so hard to bury. Unaware of the manipulation, Lucky starts feeling more pressure with every step. Rick, with his cunning ruthlessness, continues to corner Lucky, forcing him to face the haunting fears that surround him. As time passes, Lucky's psychological instability becomes more evident, and Rick knows he has successfully broken his opponent down. The tension in the story escalates as Lucky begins to lose control. The pain from his past and the chaos of the present push him into a spiral of helplessness and panic. Knowing that Lucky is no longer as strong as he once was, Rick shifts to direct attacks. He continuously brings up painful memories, moments of despair that Lucky endured during his captivity. Every word, every action from Rick feels like a dagger piercing deep into Lucky's unresolved trauma, making his mental collapse even more explosive. Rick doesn't stop there. He leverages Lucky's suffering to pull those around him into this psychological battle. Elizabeth, who has always worried about Lucky, now has to witness the breakdown of the man she once loved. The interactions between Rick, Lucky, and Elizabeth grow more intense, more complicated, pushing the story into dangerous climaxes. Rick is no longer just an old enemy. He has become the orchestrator of the worst nightmare in Lucky's life, ready to destroy everything to satisfy his own ambitions. Lucky is spiraling further out of control, and it's making everything around him more dangerous than ever. His psychological instability after months of captivity is pushing him into a state of extreme panic. Not only is he on the path of self-destruction, but Lucky may even pose a threat to the people he loves most, including Aiden and Elizabeth. His inner turmoil and uncontrollable rage are quickly escalating, and the situation threatens to go beyond repair. Rick, ever the calculating and sharp manipulator, sees this as the perfect opportunity to exploit. With every uncontrolled action from Lucky, Rick moves closer to his goal, using the chaos to position himself as a reliable figure in Elizabeth's eyes. The possibility that Lucky could harm Aiden or Liz gives Rick even more reason to step in as the protector, offering safe solutions for Elizabeth. Rick quickly manipulates the situation, turning every one of Lucky's outbursts into an advantage for himself. He begins reminding Elizabeth of the danger Lucky might pose, stoking her fears and pushing her further away from him. With cold calculation, Rick understands that this is the perfect time to regain influence over Liz. He wants to show that he can provide the safety and stability that Lucky no longer can. Meanwhile, the madness and tension are rising as Lucky continues to lose control. The chaos he causes not only affects himself, but threatens his entire family. Elizabeth, who has always been concerned about Lucky's condition, now faces a harsh reality. The man she once loved is becoming a real threat to both their son and herself. Rick doesn't miss this opportunity. He quickly presents new advantages to Elizabeth, solutions that he believes will help her escape the dangerous situation. However, all of Rick's actions are solely for his own gain, creating an image of himself as the hero in Elizabeth's eyes while pushing Lucky into an even weaker position. The story is no longer just about Lucky losing control, but also about how Rick manipulates the situation to his advantage. Elizabeth's decisions will determine the fate of everyone involved, and Rick seems to hold the upper hand in this psychological game. But with every step, the madness of the story intensifies, and no one knows what will happen next, as Lucky gradually loses himself.